All right, today's a big day in the weather as a major hurricane is now expected to hit the coast of Florida. So we're going to be breaking it all down in this video. So starting off with the SPC outlook for today, we have a marginal risk of severe weather that extends all the way from eastern Louisiana up into North Carolina. The main threat with this is damaging winds. We have a 5% risk to see wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher in this brown region. So look out for that today if you're in that area. So moving on to tomorrow, we have two marginal risks of severe weather. One is up here in the northwest, and one is down in Florida for the hurricane that is coming, and then we also have a slight risk for the hurricane that's coming. So tornado threat for tomorrow, we have a 2% risk of a tornado here in central Florida, and then in the brown region we have a 5% risk of a tornado tomorrow here in west central Florida. So tomorrow the hurricane will bring a few tornadoes most likely. Damaging wind threat for tomorrow, we have a 5% risk of damaging winds here in Florida as well as into the tip of Georgia here, and then we have a 5% risk up here in the northwest. Hail threat for tomorrow, we have a 5% risk here in the northwest. The biggest city in this region was going to be Spokane in Washington, so look out for that tomorrow. And then going all the way into Wednesday, we already have a slight risk because of the hurricane that's coming, so we'll go ahead and break that down in our next video more. But moving on to the National Hurricane Center, we have Hurricane Franklin that is extremely powerful right now. It's a category 4 with 145 mile per hour winds and could go up and hit Greenland, but it's too far out to talk about that. And then we have Tropical Storm Idalia, which is forecast to become now a category 3 hurricane and hit Florida. There are a lot of threats with this. We could see upwards of 12 feet of storm surge because we are also going to see a supermoon on the day that this hits, so that's going to enhance the storm surge by a lot whenever this hurricane makes landfall. So if you're here in west central Florida, or really any part of Florida at all, honestly, now is your time to start evacuating, getting your action plan in place, because this is going to be seriously dangerous. So moving on to the eastern Pacific, we have Tropical Storm Irwin here, which is not forecast to do anything. It's going to fizzle out, come at tropical depression, and then stop. But if we go ahead and look at the 7-day outlook here, oh, we don't have a risk. I thought we had a risk out here. We did at one point today. Moving on to the Central Pacific here, we have a disturbance out here that has a 20% chance to form the next 48 hours and a 20% chance to form the next 7 days, but this is most likely not going to hit anywhere in the U.S., so we're good to go there. Moving on to the Climate Prediction Center, we have one of the largest heat waves ever recorded in the past 50 years. This is going to be insane. So over here in the desert Southwest and really the entirety of the western U.S., we're going to see very below average temperatures, especially here in Nevada and California. But anywhere other than that, it is going to get hot from September 3rd to September 7th, which is when this is valid for, by the way. It is going to be ridiculous heat. The Climate Prediction Center has issued a 90 to 100% chance to see above average temperatures here in this darkest region, an 80 to 90% chance to see it in the next darkest region. The pink region is going to have a 70 to 80% chance to see above average temperatures, and then the red area is going to have a 50 to 60%, or a 60 to 70% chance to see that rather, and then orange 50 to 60%. Lighter orange will be 40 to 50%. So if you are in the dark red, the pink, the dark pink, or like the, I don't even know what to call this, the purple area here, I guess, we never see this. This is extremely rare. This is the highest confidence that the Climate Prediction Center has had this year that we're going to see above average temperatures in this region. So Missouri, Iowa, even southern, south central Minnesota a little bit, southeastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, it is going to be so hot, above average temperatures by a lot. Many areas reaching over 100 degrees every day. Right whenever we thought it was about to cool down, it's back, and it's big. So moving on to the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, once again, September 3rd to September 7th. Unfortunately, the drought's not stopping either. We have a bunch of below average precipitation likely over here in the eastern U.S., especially in areas like the Ohio Valley, the Dixie Alley, and then also the desert Southwest here, as well as the Four Corners states. So definitely look out for some below average precipitation and also extremely hot temperatures that will lead to major droughts that are already ongoing in many regions. And then up here in the northwest, we're going to see very above average precipitation, especially in areas like Washington and Oregon. So look out for that if you're in those areas. Moving on to the day 8 to 14 outlooks, that would be September 5th to September 11th. The heat dome is not stopping. It is still going very strong. Not as strong as it was, but still very strong. We have an 80 to 90% chance to see above average temperatures in this region from the 5th to the 11th here, which is a very big area, so definitely look out from that. It extends all the way down into the deep south, up into the upper Midwest. Like, that is crazy. And then the pink, which is still relatively rare, is over like a good portion of the United States. It covers probably like 20 states at least, the pink does. So yeah, very hot, and then below average temperatures here if you are in the northwest and even the desert southwest. So yeah. And then our day 8 to day 14 precipitation outlook, the drought doesn't end. Still below average precipitation here for the desert southwest and the Four Corner states into the central plains and southern plains. And then over here in the Ohio Valley as well, very below average. And then also above average precipitation here up in the northwest once again. So moving on to the excessive rainfall outlook, we do have a slight risk for excessive rainfall today that extends over a good chunk of the U.S., all the way from Birmingham up into Virginia here, and even almost all the way up to Washington, or Washington, D.C., that is. So if you're in that yellow region today, you have a 15% chance to see flash flooding, so look out for that. But moving on to tomorrow, because of Hurricane Idalia, we already have a moderate risk, a 40% risk to see flash flooding over here near the panhandle of Florida. Now, luckily, there are not any very populated places in this area, actually. In fact, there's almost none, but there are some towns in here, so if you're in any of these towns, definitely get ready for this. Yeah, this is going to be pretty nuts. Actually, I think those are just counties. Are they not? Or are they towns? I don't know. Whatever, yeah, very, very high risk of flash flooding if you're in those regions. If you're in that red, you should already be out of here. You need to start to get going, because this hurricane is going to bring more than just flash flooding, but yeah, very serious. So then going into the next day, we have another moderate risk that extends all the way once again from Florida, but all the way up into the Carolinas. That's a 40% risk of flash flooding, guys. So Wednesday, look out for that. Thursday, we have another slight risk of flash flooding here from the remnants of the hurricane. It will be mainly for North Carolina and southeastern bits of Virginia, so look out for that. And then going all the way into Friday, luckily it does calm down a bit, but we do have a 5% risk of flash flooding here in the Four Corner states and the desert southwest, so look out for that. Finally, the watch, warning, and advisory display. So we've got a bunch of heat advisories down here in the deep south, but that's pretty common. But they are going to slowly creep up across the most of the central U.S. soon, once again, as well as these pinkish color here, that's excessive heat warnings. We also have some of those down here in the desert southwest, as well as heat advisories here, by the way. But we do have a bunch of hurricane-related warnings out here. We got hurricane watches, hurricane warnings, storm surge watches, storm surge warnings, tropical storm watches, tropical storm warnings. It's very serious already down here in Florida. Your phones have probably gone off a bunch today telling you that there's a hurricane coming. So yeah, that's how you know it gets serious, whenever they're already issuing hurricane warnings. So definitely look out for that. We do have some flash flooding going on here in North Carolina, and we actually saw a flash flood emergency this morning in West Virginia, which is extremely rare, and it was pretty unexpected too. Like, whenever we look at the excessive rainfall for today, West Virginia really it only had a marginal risk of flash flooding, which is pretty crazy. It got like 10 inches of rain this morning, which was insane. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. This will most likely get upgraded to an enhanced risk or a moderate risk of severe weather, potentially even at some point until the hurricane hits. But yeah, so definitely look out for that, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.